Well, and we continue to see the after effects of this virus that escaped the Wuhan lab. We continue to see the effects, and let's talk about some of those. And this is our Out There segment.
Even though it's about very grounded things and things that are happening here in reality, it's out there that this is even happening.
I mean, this is one of the most out there segments, because who would have thought 2 months ago, who would have thought this could be possible? You know, we've got over 30 million unemployment claims have been filed in this country. Those are just the ones that are reported, over 30 million. The estimates range from there's an additional 9 to 14 million people who have become unemployed in this time. So we've got 40 million plus people in this country. And that may even be a low estimate because it doesn't necessarily count gig workers and other part-time workers, other people who do a lot of different odd job type things. Just the reported unemployment claims are 30 million. The estimates are that there's an additional 9 to 14 million people, putting it over probably 40 million people. You know, there are only like 162 million people that work in this country as of 2 months ago. Mm-hmm. So that's a full quarter, 25%. I mean, this is a tragedy. This is really sad. A lot of those people don't have a big savings account somewhere. They don't have a huge nest egg to fall back on. They're living paycheck to paycheck, and that's why we see these food banks oversubscribed. We see miles and miles of cars waiting to get into a food bank. You know, people are going to really struggle to make it, and my question is, when is this going to come back? I mean, we've got restaurants, we're saying they have to operate at 25% capacity. Well, they're not going to need to rehire their entire workforce to operate at a 25% capacity. There's all these follow-on results. I mean, it's like dominoes falling. When you got 25% of our working population no longer working, well, do you think they're spending money on the same things that they used to spend money on? Okay, so now we've essentially got a quarter of our economy that's not functioning. Remember, this is a consumer-based economy. For this to work, we need people to be out spending their money. I mean, I'm not saying this. I'm not saying that's right, if you want to say right and wrong. I'm not saying that's right. What I'm saying, and this is the Keynesian theory. This is the velocity of money theory. We don't want people saving money. We don't want them maintaining anything. The flow needs to happen. The paycheck needs to come out, and the money from the paycheck needs to be spent right away on disposable things, hopefully, and just keep it flowing.
They're spending their money on live PD the other night. I saw him arrest a guy, and he said that he had that marijuana in his pocket. He had bought that from his stimulus check.
Oh, boy. Well, hopefully that was stimulating. That was a stimulating experience for him. But, you know, another figure came out as we're talking about what's going to happen to the economy. I mean, this is a big deal. I mean, I really feel like the U.S. economy right now is kind of similar to a man, or it could be a woman, but a person. We'll say a person who was swimming a couple of 100 yards offshore, and up swims a great white, and the great white, just like in the movie Jaws, bites him in half. And then the top part of the person tries to keep swimming for shore. You know, like we're still alive, we're in shock, we're aware, but we think you're not going to make it, right? You're not going to make it to shore. I'm concerned that's the situation that we're in. Look at the stock market. Relatively, it's still doing pretty well. But if you look at the chart and you compare it to what happened back in the late 20s, 1929, you'll see that it almost exactly matches the meteoric rise of the stock market. And then there's a big correction, and then there's a bounce back. And if you look at the two charts, we're in a little bit of a bounce back, the dead cat bounce. And then what follows the dead cat bounce is about 4 years of a significant downtrend that would mean that we would get the Dow back to something in the range of $10,000. So is that what's coming for America? The first quarter GDP is down 5%.
And I think when you have those people who are out of work and lost their job, it didn't happen until a couple of weeks ago. So they're still surviving on their last paycheck that they're getting. What about when they no longer get paychecks at all?
And the first quarter GDP, I mean, that covers January, February, and March. We haven't even gotten into what's going to happen with April and then May. And like you're saying, these people who now don't have any money to spend at all, what's our second quarter GDP going to be down? How are we going to do that? I mean, we were living, as a country, we're living close to the line. We're living paycheck to paycheck. We're so heavily leveraged with all this debt, and now we're taking on $6, $8 maybe $10 trillion more debt in this, just in a couple of months here. We're just blowing it out. We're blowing our credit cards out. How much of a credit limit are we going to have? We're using it all. And then what happens? Then what do we do? A lot more we didn't get to. We'll see you next week, folks. I'm Morgan Streetman, and that's the way I see it. Thank you for listening to the Morgan Streetman Show. We hope you enjoyed what you heard, and if you did, please click like and subscribe to help us out. And remember that we recommend that you exercise your brain at least once a week.